Street photography, for me at least, is all about finding the time or making the time to just go out with my camera, explore the world and enjoy the process of taking street photographs. Whether I've got like a couple of hours free after work or an entire weekend set aside for taking street photographs, it doesn't really matter. It's not a competition of who can get the highest step count. It's about finding pockets of time, switching off and just thinking about photography. I've taken photos I'm really happy with, like a couple of steps from my front door. And I've also spent an entire 12 hours straight doing 15 miles up in central London, and I've come away with nothing at all. That's just the way it goes sometimes. And I think that's what I really want to try and do more of on this channel, is actual street photography, talk about the process of it, talk about what it is I enjoy so much about street photography, share some thoughts on the process, talk a bit about how I set up my camera, just do more actual street photography. So that's what today's video is about. I'm going to see how many times I can say street photography. I'm going to head out with my X-Pro 3 and 23mm f2 lens, hit the streets of London, take some photos. If you've been watching the channel or you enjoy our videos, the best way to support this is to pick up a copy of Framelines magazine. Shane and I originally started Framelines magazine as a sort of antidote to social media. We wanted a place to enjoy photography in print, outside of Instagram, outside of Twitter. And we've been able to work with photographers who we've long admired, like Matt Stewart, Greg Girard, Janet Delaney. And the magazine features interviews and articles which are a great source of motivation and inspiration. If you'd like to check out Framelines magazine, head to the link in our description. Anyway, let's go out and take some photos, see what we can get, and actually enjoy taking street photographs, because I'm really enjoying it at the moment. Summer's in London, it's a good vibe. Let's go. On a day like today, when it's kind of bright but also overcast, I like to set the shutter speed on the X-Pro 3 to 1/500th of a second and flip between f8 and f5.6 based on what the light is doing. I just let the auto ISO just do its thing. I think I've got it set from the lowest possible to 3200, and that gives me that sort of flexibility with depth of field, being able to change the aperture, but also means I'm confident that the camera will meter properly. And yeah, I'm just really confident using this. It gives me that sort of tactile, engaging experience, being able to change the aperture and shutter speed if I need to, but also I know that the camera is going to nail the exposure with the auto ISO. So that's kind of the best of both worlds, I think, in my opinion. Found this little spot here with this little advertising sign with the hand and this guy in front of it with the paper with his hand. And I just like a shot with lots of hands in, so that's what I was trying to go for here. I don't know. Yeah, I thought also I'd talk a bit in this video about colours. Lots of people have been asking me about colours with the X-Pro 3. Historically, I've found the Fuji X series cameras quite hard to edit in Lightroom. I haven't found they've had the best files. That's just in my opinion, because I always shoot raw. People always ask about film simulations and recipes and stuff. I really just try and avoid shooting JPEG. I don't like the idea of baking my edits fully into a photo, because I never know how my tastes will change, so that's why I always shoot raw. So I always shoot raw and then edit in Lightroom, and that just gives me the greatest flexibility, gives me the most dynamic range. I like having as much dynamic range as possible. I like being able to boost the shadows and give it that more kind of film-like look. So that's why I always shoot raw. I've never tried any of the recipes or the film simulations, to be honest. I just know that I will want that flexibility down the line, and I never know if my tastes will change. I like the way my photos look at the moment, but I may change my mind in a few years. I may go for something a bit more contrasty. So yeah, I thought I'd just talk a bit about editing the X-Pro 3 files. I have found them a bit choppy at higher ISOs in lower light situations, but Lightroom's new denoise AI is quite handy now. That's something that's only just come about recently. Cool, I've gone on a bit of a tangent here about raw files, haven't I? Is anybody still awake? I just really love how fast the X-Pro 3 is. It from focusing and taking a photo, it's almost instantaneous, and that makes it really great for street. In my opinion, I can just fire off shots and see what I can get. I like it when a camera you don't really notice the camera. It's just quick. Like, you see the photo you want to take and you can just get it straight away. There's no faffing around. And yeah, there's absolutely no faff with the X-Pro 3, I don't think. Done this route so many times, but I've never been down here and really noticed this like ticket booth. I really like the primary colors going on here, the reds, the blues, and this kind of like old school style ticket booth. Like, it's just not something I've ever really noticed, but I've been coming to this same spot for years and years. Maybe it's new, maybe it's just been built, I don't know. But yeah, took a few shots here I kind of don't mind. I like the red, the blue and the green. I just like bold colours, and there were some bold colours going on, so that's why I took a few photos here. This is probably like my favourite couple of shots from the day. I just think it's kind of surreal with like the guys wearing the black and white shirt with the donkey on, and how the picture behind them is also black and white, and they're kind of mirroring the pose. Just a bit of a surreal scene. I thought it was kind of fun, so I took a few shots here. And then also walked around the back of this little pavilion. There was this like David Bowie poster. I thought I'd just hang out here for a moment, see if I could get someone maybe kind of interacting with it, or some kind of like coincidence with the poster, but nothing quite came together. I like just seeing if something interacts with a poster, or seeing if there's any kind of coincidence, or maybe getting some eye contact. Yeah, didn't quite pan out, but I might come back to this spot. And then literally turned around and was like, oh, the National Gallery is now open with this new rear entrance, which is kind of cool. And there's just a ton of people sitting around reading books. Just a nice vibe. Like, I've really missed that like London in the summer vibe. It's like there's just a nice like buzz. There's people doing stuff. People just sitting outside for the sake of it, enjoying the weather. Yeah, I hadn't quite realised quite how much I missed that. It's been a very long few winter months. What am I talking about? Winter months. Nice little flow of people across the scene. Kind of happy with this. Couple of quick fire shots of people carrying dogs, 2 in a row. What do you know? Sometimes it happens like that. Shame they weren't side by side. That may have been a more interesting photo, but it's the way it goes on the street, you know. I'm really finding like this 23mm lens on the X-Pro 3 is just really making me shoot landscape photos. Like, I just have no desire to use the X-Pro 3 portrait, kind of because it's a bit tricky to use portrait. Like, it doesn't really, like with EVF and the way it's positioned in that rangefinder style, like it just forces you to make an interesting landscape frame, I think, which is kind of a bit of a challenge in itself. So that's what I really like about the X-Pro 3. But not good for social media. Social media does not like landscape photos. Truth bombs. And then, yeah, wrapping up for the day and walking towards Waterloo so I can get the train home. Quick little, like, last minute attempt. This couple checking the map with the ice cream van behind them. Again, just really like the colours, the green of the trees, the red, the blue, the yellow. I have simple tastes. I like bold colours, you know. That's me.